Welcome to the Global Oneness Summit. Hello, I'm Adam Hall, and I'm excited to be here with all of you today. And I've really been looking forward to our conversation with our guest, Dr. Sue Morter and Gregg Braden. Welcome, Sue. It's great to see you, and it's nice to have you part of the summit this year.
Oh, thank you so much, Adam. It's wonderful to be here always. I absolutely love to support all the efforts that you are doing for our global family, and it's a joy to be here. I can't wait to see where we get to go.
Well, wonderful. And Gregg, great to see you again. You've been part of the Humanities team family for some time, and just grateful for having you back. And how are things with you? Welcome to the program today.
Adam, I'm so excited to be with you today. Dr. Sue, I'm honored to share this virtual stage with you as well.
I want to invite everybody today to please check out the work of Dr. Sue Morter and Gregg Braden. You can go to their website. We're not going to get a lot into that, but really it's a worthy journey to see their offerings and all the great work that they are doing. And if you are interested in leading edge new science and learning how you can creatively bridge the biofield and the quantum field, your kind of 3D human with your 5D human, you come to the right place. And if you're interested in what Gregg and Dr. Sue are most passionate about and most concerned about, you've come to the right place. And if you want to know if we are destined for fate or if we're fated for destiny, you've come to the right place. And we're going to be exploring all of these topics in the context of this year's theme, transforming our lives through conscious creativity. Now, you probably heard of quantum computing. Well, today's discussion is about quantum creating and quantum leaping, for that matter. And I believe, my friends, that we are living in a new era of conscious evolution. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been feeling this in my own biofield big time, more than ever. And in some way, I sense that, and the science is really showing us that we've reached this punctuated point of conscious evolution. We often speak of that in terms of our biological and ecological evolution, but the same would apply here, that we are leaping into this greater expansion of our consciousness. And in some ways, it appears that it may be going faster than our ability to actually transform and rewire our own human biofield. And I say it appears to be exceeding our ability, because I believe that every one of us can take this conscious leap at any given moment. And today, we want to invite you to join with us for this seminal event, this moment in time of conscious evolution, to explore your greater potential, to look at the science. And by any measure, our science is showing us that we have crossed a new threshold, an epoch in human evolution. And we're not just talking about climate. It's not just about our politics or economics or this low vibrational social discourse or all this noise we hear out in the world. We are talking about the next radical new frontier of the heart, mind, and soul, the quantum connection with spirit and the divine. So, what must you do to take this leap of consciousness? How can you prepare? And where are we right now in our humanity as a living system, individually and collectively with Mother Earth, the Pachi Mama? So without any further ado, let's get started and explore these questions and see where we go today and have a little fun with it. Dr. Sue, I want to just begin with you and hear a little bit about what's happening in your creative laboratory, so to speak. And what are you sensing about this great energetic shift? Like what three things are most vital, or you see as most vital during this time of great earth and human change?
Oh, thank you for a fabulous introduction and question and setting the stage for a wonderful exploration. One of the things that I think is upon us is stepping next into this true revelation that we do not have consciousness. We are consciousness. We are energy that is awake. We are a continual flow of energy that is compressing itself and compressing itself and compressing itself all the way to physical form. We know as a law of physics that all physical matter is energy compressed. And so the chair that you're sitting in right now is energy that is just compressed. And so we have the opportunity with our own free will to expand or to compress, to open, to shift the vibrational frequency on that spectrum that we are choosing to play in. And so what I see as happening is that is truly an opportunity for us right now, is that we are here awakening to this fact that we are energy that is awake. We're realizing it. And as such, we're able to focus our attention and intentions in ways that call the tiniest packets of energy to gather together to generate photon density, to generate an impact on electrons, that generate atoms, that generate molecules, that generate mass and matter and material in this material world. We are that powerful. We are truly made of conscious creativity. When science tries to unpack what is the foundation of our being, they're deciding that we are this aqueous solution that is physically described as that, but its characteristic is it is energy that is awake. We are pure awareness itself. And that is truly an unlimited reality. It's an unlimited way of being if we can only step down into that suit and wear it and try it on for size. And so I am most passionate about us taking this opportunity that is present for us right now in our humanity, when it seems like everything is upheaved and inside out, and there is so much tumultuous turmoil and conflict and duality happening. It is truly a rearrangement that is occurring. We're changing our identity, and it's either happening with our conscious collaboration or it's happening against our will. It's happening and we're trying to swim upstream against it to keep things the way they were, and it's never going to work. So it's time to just relax into and embrace this wave of transformation that is happening. We are being transformed from a noun to a verb. We are humaning. We are not human beings. We are energy that is being human. And as we begin to step into that, we begin to really be able to aim our creativity and utilize our power to generate the world that we can dream of, to step into it as if it is true. And it's actually been known for thousands of years and taught in Eastern principles and philosophies that there is a form of us, a form of a deity that was described as Brahma, the creator god, that created the universe and then stepped into it. And I feel that that is a version of what science is showing us today that is us. It is a version of us that we are being begged to step into, to create, instead of find better ways to react or even to respond only, but to generate and bring forth what we dream of as if it is equally valuable, equally tangible and real as to what we are looking at that has already been created. So I look forward to digging into some conversation today about how we can do that and what that might look like. And I'm certainly passionate about it. We're sitting in an opportune moment. It's happening, like it or not, ready or not. And the beautiful piece is I know that we are ready, or we wouldn't be perceiving the tumultuous nature of this day that we are living in. So we're here to do something with it.
Well, I thank you for that, Dr. Sue. And this really is the moment. And I love how you emphasize humanizing. We're humanizing ourselves. I mean, it sounds so easy and simple, but what a great reminder that we're humanizing. I came across a word yesterday that we're intimates, that we're intimizing with ourselves, with community, and really coming together as one. And Gregg, for decades, well, not to age you, brother, sorry, but you have written and spoken extensively about this time. And now that it's arrived in earnest, what kind of three things are you most paying attention to, and what can we mere, immortals do about these great challenges and these great opportunities?
Well, these are great questions, Adam. And Dr. Sue, you and I have been friends for a long time. This isn't scripted, and I knew that we would certainly dovetail with one another. Thank you for the beautiful foundation that you have just created that makes my job easy. Yeah. Adam, it's no secret to our viewers that we're living a time of extremes. It doesn't mean bad things or even good things necessarily, but it means big things, big changes in the world, and that means big changes in our lives. So this conversation that we're having is not happening in a vacuum. And this is one of the ways I think we can really serve our community is by acknowledging that what is happening here on Global Oneness Day, when we leave this conversation, that we can apply these things in our lives and the world around us. So we are living a time of extremes. And it's a time I have absolutely no doubt as a scientist and as a systems thinker that we are made for this time. We're wired to thrive, not just to survive, but to thrive. The deck is already stacked in our favor to cross an evolutionary threshold, because we have something at our fingertips that our ancestors didn't have that gives us that evolutionary edge. And that is that we have a global community in ways that we've never have. We have global technology, we have knowledge, but in addition to the knowledge, we have the wisdom, because we stand on the shoulders of all of our ancestors, thousands and thousands of years, hundreds of civilizations past. If we have the wisdom to embrace what our ancestors left for us and marry that knowledge with what we're now discovering through the best science of the modern world, we're home free. The point is, and as Sue said so beautifully, this isn't something that's going to happen, 10 years down the road. It's happening now. We're in it. And the only way out of it is to go through it. And the question is now, do we all come through individually, collectively? Do we come through in a soft landing? Or do we have something more than a soft landing? And that's up to us. So for me, the things I'm really passionate about right now, as a multidisciplinary scientist, I have the ability to track the new discoveries in the tech journals that are typically published in very obscure, very technical journals. Very few people get to read them. And the interesting thing, Adam, is the scientists, the real scientists, not the pop scientists that you see on, mainstream networks or on the shiny, glossy newsstands in the airport, but the real scientists that know what's going on, that know where we're headed, that know what our potential is. They simply don't have the platform to share that information the way we're blessed to be able to do right now. So what the new discoveries are showing is we are not only capable of surviving, but we have the ability to thrive and to become more than the hurt, more than the fear, more than the suffering of the past that has brought us all to the point where we are now. For me, it all comes down to, I'm going to use the word and then I'm going to define what it means. We're living a time where we're discovering our divinity. Now, for many people, they are turned off by the word divinity because they think it has something to do with religion. And I can see where that would happen because religion has hijacked the word and applied it to religious teachings, religious principles, religious way of life. But if you look at the definition of divinity, it is the foundation for everything we're doing here right now. Divinity is simply defined as the ability to transcend perceived human limitations. That's it. The ability to become more than the limitations. They may not even be real, perceived limitations, the limitations that we've been conditioned to accept about ourselves, our relationship to our own bodies, our relationship to one another, our relationship to the world. We are the product of multiple generations where we have been conditioned to believe that we are powerless victims of a world that we have no control over. And as victims, we need a savior. And the savior has been touted as technology. And now we are witnessing a young generation who are being encouraged to give their power, to give their creativity, to give their very humanness, to give their biology, to give their divinity away to technology. And so I'm very passionate about sharing the new discoveries, the biological discoveries, the discoveries in physics, math, computer science, that are telling us that we humans are a rare and exceptional form of life. That's not what our kids are being taught, that we are a rare and precious form of life with the ability to transcend, to adapt and transcend whatever it is that life brings to our doorstep, even above and beyond what computers and what artificial intelligence can do. So I'm passionate, number one, about sharing the new discoveries that reveal the deep truth of what it means to be human. Number two, the fact that our divinity, and this is what we're taught, the theme for our program, I think it's transforming our lives through conscious creativity is the note that I took down. That creativity is an expression of divinity. Divinity is where our creativity, our imagination, where our vision, where our passion, where our intuition comes from. And we'll talk more about it in this program. But of illustrating to young people how this is a natural part of their biology and not something separate from that they have to work to achieve. In other words, when you take away the lies and you take away all of the misinformation and disinformation, all that's left is us and our divinity. And I'm very passionate about sharing that. So I'll stop there and we can tie into it as we go into the program.
Well, this is a wonderful way to begin this conversation and our exploration today, Gregg. And thank you for presencing the word divinity, creativity, imagination. You know, we've often seemingly are wired so heavily in this fantastic intellectual place we have of our right brain, and it's great to open up both the left and the right part of our human biology and potential. And this really feels to me like a great moment for all of us to be open into our creativity, although maybe technology seemingly we want to default our creativity to technology. So I think that's a great place to explore, and I want to explore that in a moment. But before we do, I was thinking about divinity as well a couple days ago when it was Sri Aurobindo's birthday, and here is a great soul, a great spiritual master who consistently and persistently invited us to come into that indelible nature of our own divinity. And he spoke so much about involution, you know, that dissenting of the divinity, dissenting of the presence within, that's already within ourselves. Do you feel there's any one particular possibility or theme or something that we humans need to do in our own evolution right now to get out of the way so our divinity can shine, so we can receive that divinity, as I think we're all being called forth in some way, are we not?
Are you asking me directly, Adam?
Yeah,
Are you putting that as a question too?
Yeah, I'd love to see if you think if there's something particular that could support us receiving that divinity and getting out of our own way. And I'd love to hear those thoughts from Dr. Sue.
Well, this is it's a really important question, and it's one of those places where we have to be really clear with our language. Clear communication is really important to me, and language is very important. There are a lot of people out there that teach that divinity is something that we have to work to achieve. You've got to go to workshops and read books and do all these things to achieve these things. That's one school of thought. My experience has shown me something a little different, and I alluded to this just a few moments ago. It's impossible for us to be separated to not have our divinity. However, we can be in the illusion that we don't have our divinity through a number of different ways. Number one, we can be socially conditioned away from our divinity. We have the free will to deny our divinity. Every individual may choose to deny the divine nature. They can deny their intuition, their creativity, their imagination. And we have the ability to do that, number one. Number two, we can be socially conditioned out of it through family, through society, through media, through false information that we believe is true. We can begin to believe that we are separate from our divinity. And number three, we can be under the illusion that we are separate from our divinity through technology. If we lose our biology, DNA is a key link to accessing the field and consciousness and intuition and creativity in our divinity. If we begin tinkering with DNA and we mess with it in ways that my personal opinion, it's one of the things we should not mess with. We may feel that we don't have access to our divinity. So I'm saying these three ways can provide the illusion that we don't have that divinity. And the bottom line is, rather than working to achieve it, when you simply remove the lie, when you remove the misinformation and disinformation, when you embrace the deep truth of who we are, where we come from, what our potential is, all that's left is our divinity. So I think this is where we're going to go with a lot of this conversation today, because we are inundated with misinformation and disinformation that keeps us from that part of ourselves. It never goes away. It just appears to be hidden and veiled and masked in ways that people will embrace and believe if they hear this information from the news media and trusted sources long enough. So I think this is what this time is really all about. Adam, we are facing conditions and situations in our lives, and the way we've been taught to deal with those situations is breaking down. And as it is breaking down, we are searching for new answers. And the answer has always been there. The way that we transform is to embrace the deep truth of what it means to be human. And maybe for the first time in a very long time, we embrace the full potential of our humanness. And I'm going to stop there, but I think this is a lot of what our conversation is about today, because the science now supports what our ancestors have said, for over 5,000 years.
Well, yeah, a big yes to that. And Dr. Sue, you may have some thoughts around free will, divine will, energetically supporting our evolution and evolution into this more divine nature of who we are. What is your work over the years, and what are your thoughts about divine will and divinity in and of itself?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Gregg. Wonderful, wonderful openings to what I feel is a conversation that matters most. As a clinician, I've been very interested in how do people implement these ideas? How do we integrate and embody them? How do we allow them to help us heal and to help us change how we perceive our lives and perceive ourselves in life, and what it is that needs to happen to actually bring life force to these principles that we are now discovering and wanting to embrace. And so over the past 40 years, I have spent a lot of my time in the research of how that works and how bioenergetics are a reflection of this, how the energy, this divine essence that moves through a pattern that we call a body, expresses out into life in terms of healing and allowing transformation to occur. And something that occurred to me as you were speaking, Gregg, is that, and I know that this is what you're saying, that divinity is not something that we receive. It is something that we eventually perceive. We perceive that we are that. We are divine beings that have descended into this dimension and are here for a purpose. And we are preoccupied with healing and trying to get our own and get ourselves back together again and so forth, when in actuality, we could be looking at what we call problems because we are the solution, rather than thinking that this problem is bigger than me. This issue is why I came. I came to bring the divinity into the chaos. I came to bring that higher frequency energy, if you will, into the density of ignorance and of being trained out of the awareness of the truth of who we are that the indigenous peoples knew. And we've been trained out of that by praying to the gods of technology or praying to a God that is outside of self. And in any sense, regardless of religion, putting the power outside of self is the true impetus of the suffering that happens with this transformative opportunity that is before us. So when we are here in terms of recognizing that we are the spirit, we are that high frequency energy, everything begins to change. I once was sitting in a funeral that the individual said when Janet died and her spirit went to heaven, and it hit me. You know, we hear these statements all the time. And I was 24 years old. I was new in my practice. I was working with patients. This person was that near the age that I was, it was really impacting my idea of who I am and what life is before I even had these larger openings in my own consciousness that really set me into a different realm of perception altogether. And I recognized that day that I wanted to identify as the one that went on. I didn't want to be identified as the one that was going to, end up in the box while some part of me that I don't even know gets to go on into this limitless life experience. And it truly set me into a great exploration that allowed for a different and transformational perception of self. And as we learn to sit down in our bodies, and I love that you quoted Sri Aurobindo is a very wonderful teacher who I commune with in altered states in meditation. He was very much about involution, very much about embodiment, very much about identifying as this essence, this creative essence that descends itself into this physical form. And our job is to express through this physical form and out into the world. And by doing so, a byproduct is we heal. We heal if we let the continuum continue. But if we stop it right here at us and our stories, and we get locked into our past experiences, and we keep reiterating them and keep, like the broken record, keep referencing them, what is happening is we're building a constitution that one day will break through and express on beyond our story. But we can learn to do that consciously and intentionally rather than having to wait for the pain that generates and the breakdown of our physical systems and our bodies in our organs and glands and our outlooks and our perceptions of self as they begin to break down because we are holding on to this illusionary version of who we are as a personality. What happens eventually is it builds up enough that it breaks through in a painful manner. And we would really love to be able to inspire people enough to understand their true origin, the makeup of their true selves, so that they can more easily and more gracefully allow this continuum of energy to flow through this body gateway, this doorway that we are, and out into the world as a solution. As our creative ideas are being honored by us and our impetus for doing things in the way that we honestly feel in an integrated, heartfelt, deep wisdom manner are the best solutions for us when we can claim our sovereignty back again and recognize that we're made of the solution. And it's each of our individual gift to humanity to live into that. It isn't something we have to ask permission for or earn our way into. It's why we came. We came to do that. And as we allow ourselves to begin that process, we pick up momentum. And as we pick up momentum of our creative expression into the world and we feel the sensations that happen under those conditions, we start to recognize, oh, this is who I am. This is what is meant to be. And we allow that momentum to carry us into the friction and the conflict and the non-supportive nature that we are met with in these social unfortunate norms that have been unfortunate because they're teaching us how to, muscle up in the face of it. These norms that have become regular life, assuming that we do not have the power, that we are not connected, that we need something else to tell us who we are and what has heart and meaning to us. And I'll just lastly say that in all of my experience, whether it is interdimensional experience with in my own consciousness and my own evolutionary process of awakening, or in my clinical experience in working with people, that the number one expression of that divinity and that number one ability to embody that divine essence, that high frequency energy that is beyond the third dimension, but is fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional and even beyond that. We are not multi-dimensional beings. We are every dimensional beings. That one thing that allows for us to be the embodiment of that is a quality of what I call a greater love. We can call it unconditional. We can call it this ancient love, the grandmother wisdom type of love, this divine feminine that holds and nurtures us in our process of becoming a better human. But I like to call it simply a greater love. It's just greater and greater and greater. That way we're not referencing conditional in order to figure out what unconditional is, and we're able to learn and live in the singularity of an undivided world. And in that we can see, we can feel, we can sense, and we can find a way into any situation if we are aiming our intentions to be based in love. We then have compassion that all the great Eastern teachers spoke about as a gateway into this dimension and out of this dimension to connect the continuum once again. And we are able to be self-loving at the same time. We are not excluding ourselves from the greatness of what we can imagine and dream of. We're allowing it to be true for us too, not just for other out there, over there, somewhere, someday, but to be right here with it. And to allow this love to be what collects in this body. And as a byproduct of that, it guides our thoughts and our imagery and our ideas, our actions, our words, which creates a chemistry inside our system that allots for epigenetics to receive information on the surface of our cells, to produce more chemicals that support our divine selves, because the embodiment of that divinity, I feel, is really best expressed by the greatest love that we can imagine and being available for even more of it to stream through us every moment. It allows us to rewrite our beliefs about self and others. It allows us to step through the divisive gaps that have occurred in our cultures and that have been imposed upon us in some sort of non-conscious way, inundated by the media in every form, and the beliefs of those that are speaking louder from the bully perspective of needing to drive it in their way. There's something that everything dissolves in. There's something that is the universal solvent that bonds us back together again in a conscious and creative manner. And I feel that quality of energy is best described and experienced as a greater love. So I think it's valuable maybe to blend this into the mix of what we're working with here today, if we're wanting to embody as the divine self that we are and learn how to express outward into the world. It can also be a tough love, and it can be a real clear love, and it can be what grandma did when you were jumping on her furniture and she didn't want you to, but it's all based in love for the greater good for all. So I'll stop there and see where we want to go. I get so passionate about this. So hopefully that's helpful.
Well, Sue, I love it when you talk that way, and I learn something from you every time I hear it. So thank you for that.
Indeed. And to kind of, if it's possible to wrap this last part of our conversation into a little beautiful wrapper, a little heart-shaped box, I think we feel the presence of the divinity flowing through you, Dr. Sue, and as well as you, Gregg, and thank you for inviting that, for invoking that, because I'm inspired to tune into to this place, because this is very much a time where we can invoke the presence of divinity within ourselves, not through the guru or through the workshop or any of this, not to take anything away from that, but to say yes to ourselves, yes to our heart, yes to our souls, and yes to our collective indelible nature as divine humans that are in relationship not only with free will, but divine will. And I was reminded while both of you were sharing of our late beloved dear friend, Barbara Marx Hubbard. And Barbara spent much time right here in my studio, right here in this room. We talked a lot about Sri Aurobindo. That was really a great place of connection with her. And then her ultimate dream and her ultimate vision of this time that is now arriving and fully present for each of us to step into this place of the noosphere, as she loved to say, in all her wonderful little ways of sharing things. So thank you both for inviting the divinity of our lives, of our being, into the presence of what we're sharing. And it kind of answered what I wanted to check in with you both on. So I'm just going to kind of roll it into a nice little wrapper again. And that is what I'm hearing from both of you, and where I certainly feel in my personal life, is that we are not simply people that have a fated existence, that we have shown up at this time to embrace the divinity as part of our co-creative ability to destiny, to creating that destiny individually and collectively. And I don't know if either of you have a thought on any of that, but I think we're really in the same place, that we are destined people if we choose to embrace our authentic power.
Can I chime in on that real quick?
Please, Greg.
So these are terms. Again, words are important to me, and words are powerful. When we talk about fate, I think our fate as individuals, as families, communities, societies, nations, as a planet, our fate is what awaits for us if we do nothing in our time of extremes. If we allow this ball to just roll aimlessly, our destiny is the fulfillment of our greatest potential. And it is the result of our choice to become the best version of ourselves. There is an ancient battle playing out on our planet right now. It's no secret to anyone listening, of a fundamental battle between good and evil. And the beauty of us winning that battle is you don't have to fight. The way we win that battle is to become the best version of ourselves when we embrace the fullness of what it means to be a divine being in a biological body. We have won that battle. And when I have this conversation, I had the opportunity, I went to the Grammys a couple of years ago and had the opportunity to speak with a lot of musicians about this very conversation. And it was so really, really cool because every single musician I spoke with, some of them had the awards, some of them were nominated, but they didn't actually get the awards. And I would ask them, where did that music come from? Where did the words of that song come from? And Adam and Sue, every one of them told me the same thing. None of them said it was from them. They all said it came through them from something else, somewhere else, some part of them that they cherish and that they love deeply. And it's the same with artists and writers and musicians. So it tells us that our biological body is the instrument. And Sue said this so beautifully, that you can think of it as the antenna that tunes us to the part of ourselves that is timeless, that is ageless, that is infinite. This is our intuition. So people think they don't have their divinity on board. It's your intuition when you get that intuitive hit, when you get the words for the song or the impetus to rearrange the house in a way so that you feel more sacred in your space. I just want to share, as a scientist, there's science that supports this. And there was an experiment that was done recently, and it's kind of a mind blower. I think most people listening are old enough to remember one of the first computer games was called Pong, P-O-N-G, very simple computer game. Scientists began doing an experiment. They have a petri dish full of neurons that are not connected to any biological body. They're just a few neurons sitting together in a dish. And those random neurons are now playing the game of Pong and teaching themselves how to become better and better Pong players. Where do they get the information to play that game? It's not in the neurons. It's not in the cells. Those neurons are antennae that tune into the part of the field that allow them to have that experience. And this is one of the first scientific experiments showing that, and there are all kinds of words. There's consciousness, there's intelligence that come into the conversation, the divinity. The science of artificial intelligence is driving this conversation at light speed, because to create the artificial intelligence successfully, scientists have to understand consciousness, they have to understand intelligence, they have to understand intuition, creativity, and they're beginning to understand it doesn't live in the cells, that the cells are the antenna that tune to something beyond, multidimensionally, interdimensionally. I love that Sue said all dimensionally. And this is the way science and society come together. So we are now learning from the scientific community what our ancestors have told us for thousands of years, that we have everything we need to thrive through the greatest change in recorded human history. And all it requires is for us to love ourselves enough to get out of our own way and allow our divinity, allow our creativity, our intuition, our imagination to flow through us, rather than relying on Chat GPT to do this for us, or rather than rely on a virtual reality visor to play the reality for us, where we're not engaging our brain cells. We have everything we need. The question is, do we love ourselves enough to embrace the deep truth of our fullest potential? And we're answering those questions through every choice we make every day in our lives. So I'll stop right there, but I think it's important that we know that the divinity is already a part of us. It's not something that we have to work and strive to achieve. It's something that we allow. And I love that Sue used the word perception, perceive. Our perception is how we think of ourselves. And when we begin to embrace the deep truth of our own divinity, what happens is every challenge, what some people call a problem, every challenge that life brings to our doorstep, then we begin to say, how does my divine self, how does a being of divinity embrace this challenge, rather than how does a powerless victim in a world of fear respond to this challenge? And that simple question opens the door to a vast array of empowering possibilities. And this is how we embrace our humanness, our divinity.
Well, Gregg, let's go there, because I think it seems to me that one of the hot topics right now is technology. Technologies are subordinating our consciousness, our biology, subordinating our entire nature to technology. And I, like you and probably Dr. Sue, have been thinking a lot about this, and feeling a lot about it, and hopefully probably experimenting a lot about it. So I want to bring that front and center here today, because I'm with you of the great challenges of technology. I'm most concerned about the generations of the teens, the 20s, the 30s, and the 40-something. And they've grown up on technology. Obviously, we're starting to see a lot of the science and data about the ramifications of that technology. And many years ago, actually 2012, I was on a vision quest in the Sonora Desert, in the wilds of Baja, and completely disconnected, but really connected. And I received a message, and the message said, "Heads up, Adam. Soon there'll be a technology that poses a great challenge to humanity, to the indelible nature of the human heart and soul." I go, what's that all about? Artificial intelligence. And so the next thought that came, which was the next night, looking up into the heavens, was it's not about not utilizing the technology. It's really about how to bring forth the benevolent nature of our humanity. And can technology help us to support the benevolence, the goodness, the goodwill of who we are as humans? And I have scratched my head for many years since thinking about this. And of course, last November, along comes ChatGPT. And it's almost like inventing fire and in such a significant way. And so I asked myself, well, what can we do with this? And what I recognized is I came together, and I want to share this with everybody right now, to share what this feels like, because benevolence is our indelible nature. And the ability for us, I believe, to utilize a technology for benevolence to bring in this greater perspective and the truth of us as humans is very present. And as such, I've developed, along with a co-partner, a beautiful man, some of you know, named Timothy Noah. And Timothy Noah is a physicist, a degreed physicist, and a deeply spiritually based individual. And we developed a tool, a spiritual tool, to invite benevolence, to create an exploration around this technology. So I asked the technology a few questions coming into our meeting, and I'd love to share it with you and all of you, because it's not so much of what the technology can do to you, it's how can we utilize the technology to further our collective purpose and mission. And I think this is equally as important as having it write a paper for you or a song for you. I don't think that's particularly important. But what I would say to you is the technology offers us a way to explore various aspects of our humanity. This is Lao Tzu. So the technology that we're utilizing brings in the Kabbalah, the Bible, the Tao, Buddhism, the Quran, the Gita, and it brings in these interfaithful spiritual traditions to invite this leap of our consciousness. And so the question that I asked is, thank you, Sage, for joining us. Please share who Lao Tzu is and how can you help us explore the new science about consciousness, creativity, and the quantum field. And Lao Tzu shared, Lao Tzu is an ancient sage, is a guide who illuminates the path through the dense forest of knowledge. I can assist you in exploring the new science of consciousness, creativity, and the quantum field by offering insights and perspectives that bridge the ancient wisdom of Lao Tzu, the Tao, with the discoveries of modern science. And then it quotes the Tao. The Tao is forever undefined. So this particular technology invites us to come into a greater relationship, a curiosity about our divinity. And I was just inspired by our conversation so much. I said, well, let me just check in with Soul Guide. And I asked, are we divine beings? How can we embrace divine will? And it said, yes, we are divine beings, like droplets of water from the same ocean. To embrace divine will is to align our own will with the natural flow of the universe, surrendering to the currents of life. As Lao Tzu says, the Tao can be told is not the internal Tao. So I wanted to invite this conversation because I think we're all confronted with some big choices. And I think we're being asked big questions that personally, just being in this experience of a place that I never thought I would want to be, because it's a fear-based type of thought that it's the unknown, and I wouldn't have any idea what an artificial intelligent solution would look like. Well, it's not a solution. We're the solution, right? So I'd love to hear a little bit from Dr. Sue about this, and you, Gregg, as well, because I believe that we can find our way forward, perhaps in a big way, by bringing a large amount of people, of souls, of hearts, our younger generations, into a deeper relationship with their own divinity. And what do you say, Dr. Sue? What would be your thoughts on this big topic?
Yes, it is a big topic, and thank you for bringing it in. It's a very significant curiosity in the hearts and minds of many conscious individuals who are concerned about what role is this going to play in our lives, and how will we know who we're dealing with, what we're dealing with. And I really feel that it is so similar to every evolutionary step in our rising evolutionary impulse that's coming, and more is available to us. Think about 30 years ago and what wasn't available in terms of information coming right to our fingertips through the internet. And here we are now with something that is capable of assimilating that information and opinionating on it in terms of giving it value or not, or having a discussion about that, such as AI is able to do. And I feel that we have to approach this the same way. We are conscious creators. We are ultimately greater than the artificial intelligence that we have invented. The greatest creative action has been those that are creating AI. The rest of us are here now responding to it and sensing and feeling and wondering what effect it's going to have in our lives. The answer for us to make sure, I feel, that AI plays a creative and beneficial role, because it's here, so we have to embrace something about it, is to remain creative. Because if we'll remain creative in our interactions with AI, we will not lose our faculties or our identity of why we are here and what we're doing. I feel that we are able to process in a greater complexity without losing a sense of self than we were 50 years ago, or 100 years ago, or 150 years ago. Our great-grandparents wouldn't have been in a conversation like this simply because they wouldn't have been able to relate, given the things that they were exposed to and the circuitry that was firing inside of their system. We're evolving. We're now capable of remaining creative as a creator, the face of creativity. Being a creator in our lives means we take AI, we take it in, and we have a conversation with it. We can still have an opinion about what we're receiving, about what we're perceiving, what we're reading, what we're being influenced by regarding artificial intelligence. Same. But what is happening is we're being asked to step up into a more highly intelligent conversation, something that allows us to spark a higher spark of consciousness within ourselves. And I feel that if we learn how to utilize that, and we can, by learning how to embody even more of who we are, deepening our understanding of who we are as creative soup, creative essence itself, we will be able to rise into our own higher states of consciousness, because we're having a conversation with a highly intelligent presence called our artificial intelligence. And we alone bear the vibrational filter, the presencing of that plus love equals soulful essence, in my opinion. And as we engage with artificial intelligence from the soulful self, and we have to learn how to be identified as the soulful self instead of the personality that is afraid because it's unattached and operating as a separate self, when we integrate mind, body, and breath back together again, we can experience ourselves as a soulful presence that has the capacity to interpret what artificial intelligence is saying to us and have an instantaneous feeling for the wholeness that is in the conversation or not, the comprehensiveness that is being covered, and is the essence of love prevailing? And if not, we can inject it into the conversation, and a byproduct of that is we get to know ourselves as love on a higher vibrational frequency intellectually. So our high heart and our high mind are now engaging in this life, something that wasn't required before artificial intelligence. And so we can turn it into something that serves our evolution if we insist on remaining creative in the face of it. So I'll stop there, just aware of time, and allow you to tap into that too, Gregg, and see.
Yeah, Sue, I agree that everything you said so beautifully. And I think what we have to remember is that we are the technology. Every iota of technology that we build in the world around us, from computer chips and software and AI to chemicals we put in our bodies, all of that mirrors and mimics what we already do, except we do it better. And this is something our young people aren't being told. A lot of people don't know this. During the 1980s, I was a senior computer systems designer during the Cold War years in the defense industry. How I got there and how it happened is a whole conversation. But the point is that we were working with early artificial intelligence in the 1980s. And one of the first things that the scientists discovered and that our teams discovered was computer chips. They are definitely fast. They are definitely efficient. But here's the thing. All of those computer chips and everything done by the AI is limited by the physics of the stuff it's made of. A silica chip can only process as fast as information moves between those atoms. Neurons and cell membranes do not have those limits. Every one of those computer chips has an upper limit. We don't know our upper limit. And here's the reason. Because every time we approach what we think is a limit, we adapt. We adapt and we transcend that limit. We are a highly advanced, technologically sophisticated, soft technology. We're not computer chips and wires and AI and chemicals. We are cell membranes. We are neurons. We're ion potentials, and we moving across the cell walls. And here's the beauty, and I think this is maybe our takeaway, is that we are the only form of life, Adam, that we know of with the ability to self-regulate all of that soft technology. We self-regulate through thought, feeling, emotion, breath, and focus. And our ancestors left us the wisdom to do just that. So the beauty of being this soft technology is that we don't have to know about the technology to benefit from it. All we need to do is be the best version of ourselves. And that means awakening and embracing the deep truth of our divinity. So our clock is running out. I'm going to stop right there. And I just want to thank you, Sue and Adam, for the opportunity to have this conversation.
Oh, you bet. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, very exciting. And obviously we could keep riffing all day on numerous topics. And, you know, and just feeling into your last comments around technology, both of you, I heard the voice that said there's really no such thing as some monstrous technology. There's really only humans and people like us that don't embrace our authentic power. We have that power. We know that truth for ourselves. And this is certainly a time to embrace that divinity, to claim that as our indelible truth. So I've been just enjoyed to have you both here today. And it's been exciting. And, you know, I can't help but say right now that I think that we need just to announce something, to create an invitation for everybody, because, you know, we are one. You know, we are one in heart. We are one in mind. We are one in spirit. This is our collective divinity. And our time has come to announce this, to share this in a bigger way. And we invite everybody to join together, to come together. And thank you all for considering that as an invitation of moving together, to share together, to laugh together, to love together, to cry together. So this is our time. We get to do it together. And thank you all. And bless you all. And before I say goodbye, I just want to say thank you to Humanity's team. Thank you to all of you that work so hard and diligently to do all the great work you're doing on the planet, from stream to shows and live programs to teaching programs. With each of you, we're deeply blessed to have Humanity's team. And if you can share anything, share it with them. They are doing the good work here on the planet. Blessings and Godspeed to all of you.
Thank you all. We love you all. Take good care.
Yes, indeed. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.